Strong values and strong opinions. The Mike Broomhead Show. KTAR News, 92.3 FM, and the KTAR News app.
All right, so let's talk about elections and what's happening. There is nothing new under the sun. This happens a lot. There is a push by some people to remove former President Donald Trump from the ballot. If you remember, this happens all the time. You get people that just don't like results. They don't like what's happening, and they will change it at any cost, believing that if they can block something like this from happening, it makes it go away. In this case, they want, under the 14th Amendment, in the clause that says that if you've been part of an insurrection, you can't. This goes all the way back to the Civil War. That's where this comes from. So that this was to prevent people that were in part of the insurrection in the Civil War from the southern states holding office. That's where this all comes from. And now it rears its ugly head here. But I will tell you that there's nothing new here. Go back to the days after Barack Obama won the election. There was a big push by some here in Arizona to go after his birth certificate to prove his birth certificate was fake so that they could remove him from office. Instead of being concerned, from a Republican point of view, being concerned that he was elected president, why the American people chose him over John McCain, why the American people chose him over Mitt Romney, instead of that concern as a Republican voter, it was by any means necessary, let's get rid of the guy. Let's find a technicality, let's overturn the election, and let's get what we want. So the same thing is happening here. Donald Trump remains immensely popular with Republican voters, and so they want him removed from the ballot. They don't want any chance that this guy could win the election. Well, a lot of people need to take a look in the mirror. If you had somebody that was even remotely popular in the presidency, you wouldn't have to worry about it. But instead, find a way. You can say this is about election integrity, and I don't mean it the other way. I mean it's about the integrity of our democracy. You can say all of those things. This is about finding a way to get your way. But on the other side of this, the MCRC, the Maricopa County Republican Committee, I think the last C is for committee, this is the largest group of Republicans in the state as far as the counties go, because Maricopa County is the largest county. There is a push within the MCRC to change how we do primary elections, so that instead of running it through the state, because it's one of the recognized political parties, that the Republican Party itself would handle the primary. Why would they do this? Because they want only one day of voting, all done in person, on paper ballots that would be hand counted. The chairman of the Arizona Republican Party, the AZGOP, is Jeff DeWitt. Jeff DeWitt is questioning a lot of things that are going on in the way that they are doing it because Maricopa County is pushing this. So a faction sounds like a negative term, but this is one Republican group. The Maricopa County Republicans are pushing this for statewide. So this is Jeff DeWitt commenting about this in a video.
As you know, I was the former COO and CFO of the Trump National Campaign in 2016, and I was again the COO of the Trump campaign in 2020. I care deeply about election integrity. I care deeply about securing our vote, about voter ID, about one vote for one person, and about making sure we return the White House to Republican hands.
But why does he have to say it? So the MCRC, here's a couple of questions for you. How much of the estimated $13 to $15 million that it's going to cost to do this are you going to pay for out of your bank accounts from the MCRC? Why doesn't the MCRC plan have any way of our military personnel who are deployed overseas to be allowed to vote for the next president? Meaning if you're going to have in-person, same-day voting on paper ballots, if you're deployed somewhere, if you are on any kind of a deployment and you're not in state, how do you vote in the primary? That's just, a lot of this is just common sense. So you've got one side of the aisle that is saying what we're going to do is we're going to do everything we can to get Trump off the ballot. And then the MCRC plays right into their hands, and they go way crazy the other way and say, nope, we're going to do same-day voting, in-person voting. You won't be able to mail in your ballots. You got to show up on Election Day, one ballot, one vote, hand count. And everybody just shrugs their shoulders. You know what will happen? Nobody will vote in your primary except you. And then you get your way. You get Donald Trump as the nominee. I have no axe to grind with Donald Trump. None. I voted for him twice. This isn't about him. This is about one side of the political aisle saying we hate the guy, so we're going to do everything we can to make sure he's not on the ballot. That's wrong. Then you got the other side of the aisle saying we love the guy, and we're going to do whatever we have to do to make sure he wins. Either one right, or are they just opposite sides of the same coin? When I talked about this, and my frustration in my voice right now comes from the fact that I am a very loyal Republican in my ideology. I'm a Republican voter. I believe from my political point of view, Republicans need to act more like Republicans when it comes to spending. There are a lot of corrections that need to be made in what we do with crime and punishment in this country, what we do with the border, what we do with spending. I think a lot of this needs to be fixed, and I think Republican control would be a step in that right direction. You don't have to agree with me politically. I'm giving you my political stance and ideology. But what I'm seeing from one group of people is they are in their closed-in rooms where they set the rules. You know, there's a push within the Republican Party to say to the Republican voters around the state, and it's not going to happen, but there was a legitimate conversation about this within party leadership before Jeff DeWitt. This isn't about Jeff DeWitt. And that was maybe the party leadership, maybe the members of the party, precinct committeemen and all these other people that have power within the political party, maybe they should choose the nominees. Maybe you're too dumb as a voter to choose because you're not choosing the way we want you to choose sometimes. So we're going to tell you who the Republican nominees are, and then you decide whether or not you want to vote for them. It was a push for that. When you have people that become so disconnected from other opinions within their own party, this is what happens. So you've got one side of the aisle that does absolutely the wrong thing and says, let's use, like they use the 25th Amendment. The guy's crazy and he shouldn't be near the nuclear code, so let's go dig up the 25th Amendment and let's get him out of office that way. Well, now let's use the 14th Amendment to make sure he's not on the ballot. Let's see if we can find a technicality to get rid of this guy. So what do? On the other side, you say, nope, we're going to use a technicality and we're going to try to use some political ploy that's going to cost millions of dollars. And here's the worst part about this, that they are going after anybody within the political party, within the Republican Party. And I'm more mad at the Republicans because I am one. They are going to go after everybody within the party that doesn't agree with them. So if you're on this executive board, if you're part of the leadership in the MCRC, and anybody doesn't think this is a good idea or dares to push back or dares to question why you're doing it, you're going to go after them. And you're going to trash them. And it's going to divide the political parties. And it is playing into the hands of the opposition. I think it's sad. I think it's wrong. And I think it needs to end right away.